Hello, it's John here for another 850 tutorial. In this tutorial, we are going to be creating a muzzle flash. Yes, we're creating a muzzle flash again, but this time we're doing it slightly different. We're going to be using Adobe After Effects to create our muzzle flash, and it's going to be more 2D aimed. We're going to export this as a PNG sequence and then trigger it in Unreal Engine and see how that's going to look. Just for an alternate take on the last muzzle flash we did, which was more based in 3D space. So let's get going. We're going to want to create a new composition. And I suppose by default, let's leave this as a full HD and maybe just say to 3 seconds. Cool, so we have this. I'm just going to give it a background as well, just so we can see everything. New solid, red's fine. And I'm going to import my muzzle flash. So this is my muzzle flash, and if you want to see how I made that, there is a tutorial that was uploaded to, so go back and check that out. We made it in Photoshop just using a few tweaks and techniques. So that's my muzzle flash. Admittedly, looking at it, I made an error around here. Like if we sort of zoom in, you can see I've gone too close to my edge. That's a mistake, but I don't think you'll be able to notice it. You're not going to notice it when we're sort of done with it, but hey ho, let's get going. So I've got my muzzle flash, and what I'm going to do right now is real quick. I'm going to right click and I'm going to pre-compose this. And I'll just call it Muzzy and then hit OK. And the reason I pre-composed it is because basically in here, this is where I'm going to do all my effects, where I'm going to tweak and change it in this one. And in my main comp, this is where I'm going to spawn it. So let's just set it up and get spawning. Let's just go, oops, not new shape layer. We just want a standard new solid. I'll just change the color so it's easy to identify. And let's start putting on our effects. So we're going to be using a particle effect to spawn this in. So let's go down to simulation and let's put on a particle world. And we are going to want to tweak our particle. So make sure it's textured square, and we are going to want to define our texture. So this is going to be Muzzy, at which point we're going to want to turn off the eyeball in this. And let's press play. And we can see how it's spawning in loads and loads of muzzle flashes. That's not how we want them to look. So at this point, we're going to want to go all the way through here and really get that sorted. So there's set my opacity pretty much high. Max variation, again, quite high. Birth size is going to want to be a lot higher than that. Maybe not quite that high, but let's just play with it. Let's just roll with it for now. Cool, that'll do it there. Let's birth rate. Again, not going to want to create that many. Longevity as well, want that to be really short. And let's go to our producer. Set all these to 0 because we want them just to spawn sort of pretty much in the same spot. Physics, I'm going to go jet sideways with like no velocity, maybe just a little bit, and like no gravity as well. Again, maybe just a tweak, a touch on both, just to give it a bit of variation. And let's have a look. Blending mode doesn't look too good. Let's go back into our particle. See, we set to composite. Let's try screen and try again. Cool. So that's pretty much how that's going to look, and that's alright. But we just keep spawning in the same shapes, and this is why I've created my extra composition. And in here, I'm going to just maybe go effects crazy. Let's just go effects crazy so let's see what happens. So with your layer selected, we're going to want to go to effects, and we're going to play in the distort section. And we've got a whole host of like stuff in here that we can sort of mess with. Let's try Ripple. Ripple should hopefully give us a nice effect. Again, I'm just going to throw a background down real quick just so I can see a bit better. Okay, and let me go back to my effects. Oh, I've already put a ripple on there. Cool, let's see what this does. So let's just try rolling the number. And you see what it's doing around some of the edges? Maybe set that wave speed a bit higher. Set the wave width a bit higher as well. That was good, but we don't want to go too high now because we don't want it to sort of look obvious. I think it's too obvious at the moment. So let's sort of play with some of these a bit. And this is really just going to be a sort of numbers game just to see what we end up on, what looks okay. That's alright, that gives us a little bit of variation. And we can tweak and come back to it if we want to. Let's try another effect. So again, we're going to go down to Distort. And let's try Turbulent Displace this time. So this should really, hopefully, alter the shape a bit. So we've got like different ones in here, and like different ones sort of going to give you different effects. I'm just going to leave it turbulent and see what we get. I kind of want to avoid sort of like what's happening around here a little bit if I can. So maybe by increasing the complexity. Cool. And I'm actually going to keyframe this one so it looks like it's doing something. And maybe set roll you around once, and then maybe set you to 11. Let's see how that looks. That looks pretty good, pretty crazy. Let's try it with the ripple as well. Pretty good, pretty manic. But let's keep going. Let's see what else we can put on here. Let's try a wave warp as well. So it's going to do sort of a similar thing to our ripple. So see like the crazy effect that's having on it. So we sort of want to make it subtle. And increase the width a bit. Just make it a bit less subtle than that. So like I said, the whole thing is going to affect crazy. And let's just put, for good measure, let's go for a gelatin, like a bit of a wobble. And see how that looks. Bit too crazy. Bit too crazy. So let's just bring that down a bit. So that's sort of like moving it around on its axis. It's going to look like we're getting Asprey. Let me increase my canvas size a bit. Just so nothing comes off the edge. Turn off my blue because we don't need that anymore. Let's go back to our original composition and sort of see how that looks. Nice, that looks pretty good. It's given us quite a dynamic effect. Let's Are we happy with everything in this particle effect? We're spawning enough. Shall we try see what happens if we spawn fewer and don't let them live as long? Now we should. If we're going to do that, let's take it up to about 0.5. So at this point, I'm just going to sort of tweak it, play with it, see if any sort of changes I might want to make on top of this. What about anything else? Any more tweaks, changes? Could maybe bring like the birth size down a touch. There we go. I think that looks pretty good. That looks alright. Let's keep going with it. Let's keep playing. And let's, add another solid. I'm just going to press Ctrl Y. And I'm going to put another effect on. Let's go for, this is going to be the sparks. So I might just throw a particle systems on there. I'm just going to get rid of them for now. And get rid of my sparks round. Just do this effect. So I'm going to want to bring my canvas size down. Let me find the part where it's at its biggest. Bring my canvas size down. Just because if we're exporting this as a PNG sequence, we are not going to want to waste that much space because each PNG is going to be quite huge. Let's see if that all fits on there. Yeah, we can bring it in a bit more on the side too. Cool, so that right there is going to be our muzzle flash. And that looks alright. That looks alright. It looks alright here anyway. I don't know how it's going to look in Unreal, but we'll find out. So I'm going to add it to my render queue, and I'm going to export this as a PNG sequence. Important note right here, make sure we're set to alpha, and that way all this checkerboard area is going to come out looking okay. Note, another side note as well, the part where we've got this low opacity around here because of the glow. In fact, you know what? I'm saying glow. I don't even put a glow on. Let's totally put a glow on. Let's see how that looks. Let's get rid of some of that opacity a bit. Let's go to Effect, Stylize, Glow. Oh my god, that looks way better. Already, immediately. Because the low opacity, we're not really going to get that effect when we render that through in Unreal. That sort of feathering that we've got. Okay, now we're talking. But anyway, let's run this out then as a PNG sequence. Cool, so I'm sort of done there. I'm going to render that out, and then at some point I'm going to move it across and let's put it in Unreal and see how that looks. Alright, see you in the next part.